Hey folks, Pat here from DNS, and this Madison area fishing report is current as of November 15th. Well, just one last reminder here that we will be closed starting tomorrow, the 16th, through the 29th. This is a long-running tradition, many years, been closing during this time. Gives us a chance to get out in the woods, chase deer around, do some fishing, probably eat too much over Thanksgiving, and spend time with family, stuff like that. So it's a nice break for us. Sorry for any inconvenience to folks looking for bait, but we will be back open November 30th. If you want to stock up, swing in the shop here today. We're still sitting pretty good on a lot of bait. You might want to call if you're looking for something specific. But yeah, this is a nice break for us. And, I also won't be doing my reports between until we get back. So that'll be the first week of December. Will be the next time I talk to you all. Since I won't be talking to you till after Thanksgiving, I do want to let you know that I'm very thankful for all our wonderful customers, for keeping the lights on here. It means a lot to us. Shopping small is important, and I definitely appreciate that. Maybe even more than that, I'm thankful for the great guys I got behind the counter here at the shop. If it wasn't for Harley, Kevin, and Tuck, I would have lost my mind a long time ago. So big thanks to those guys for keeping me sane. Um, Otherwise, best of luck to all the hunters out there. Good luck if you get out fishing, and I hope you have a safe and happy Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you again on the 30th. As far as other news goes, we got when we come right back that week, we'll be jumping right into the frying pan, or the fire, I guess. Winter Seminar Series lineup Thursdays at 7 here at the shop. Brian's going to be kicking things off that week. Brian Zupi, December 5th, going to be talking panfish options here at the shop. Brian, of course, very well-known panfish angler and really knows his stuff. Pat Westberg, also a great guide, recently retired and started guiding again. He's going to be talking about tip-up tactics. He really knows his stuff when it comes to tip-ups, especially for big pike, on December 12th. And then Jim Kusuda, everybody knows him. Mendota Jim, pro staff for Clam and Vexlar. December 19th, he's going to be talking about shallow water bluegills. So I'll be reminding you all about that, as we go, as we lead up to those dates. But yeah, just a reminder there. We got most of our ice fishing stuff up on the walls here. Got a couple little holes to fill, but we're pretty much ready to rock and roll. Certainly we will be when we open back up on November 30th. Kevin's got all his rods up. He really makes a nice rod. Best I've ever fished with for sure. So yeah, excited to have that stuff back on the racks. Otherwise, announcements on the door up here. We've got a blood drive at the Lakeview Church up here on December 3rd, and then the Stoughton Conservation Club. If you need to set your gun in yet, November 16th through the 21st. So that's all this next week. You can go down to the Stoughton Conservation Club down there. They got a great facility and volunteers on hand to help you get sighted in. It's $10 a gun, and they're a great group doing great stuff for conservation in the area. And then, yeah, reminder about the Heads Up and our Winter Seminar Series. So I think that pretty much does it for announcements. I do get calls a lot here at the shop, folks wondering about piers. Of course, I told you last week that the county has pulled all their piers, and I was in touch with somebody at the city to kind of figure out if they had figured out a plan yet. It turns out that they are going to be pulling their piers. They just started yesterday pulling piers, and they're going to be working on it all next week. Warner will be the last to be pulled, and they said that's going to be at least in there till the end of the month, maybe even longer. And then they also told me that they're going to leave Olbrich in down here, the Olbrich Pier. They left that in all year last year, and it didn't get destroyed like the Warner one. So they're going to leave that in all year this year. So that's good news, at least for being able to get out on Monona later in the season than normal. So thanks to the Parks Department for that. I guess as far as what do we got here? The rest of the report. A little rain here and there with cooler temps this last week, but we really need things to start cooling down so we can get some ice out here soon. The extended forecast has temps falling for sure, but I don't see anything that looks like ice making weather in the 2-week outlook for me. And if you look at the buoy here, you got where are we at? 53 degrees all the way down on Mendota, so quite a ways away from ice making water yet, but we'll get there. We'll just pray for cold weather here. Generally speaking, most fish are hanging out pretty shallow around the chain. Mid-lake humps are still producing, but shoreline breaks near shallow water, and especially anywhere you can find weeds, is a great place to start. That's going to be a running theme throughout this report. Bluegill action around town's been good. Look for them in 10 feet of water or less, and anywhere you can find weeds, you'll likely find fish. Gills have been moving into Monona Bay down here, in good numbers. And if it's gills you're after anywhere on the chain, a small jig tipped with a piece of redworm, spike, or waxworm is really all you need. Crappies continue to be somewhat elusive, but are being found here and there on weed edges and near structure. The evening crappie bite off the Monona Terrace wall has been good lately, and they've also moved into Monona Bay with the bluegills. So, but no matter where you fish crappies this time of year, a crappie-sized minnow or a minnow-shaped plastic on a small jig is a pretty safe bet for those fish. Unfortunately, other than a few reports, very few reports here and there, I'm still not hearing much in the way of perch action around town. As far as bass go, largemouth are up shallow, but with the cooling water, that action has been slowing. Live bait's probably your best bet. Large shiner or other larger minnows been working well. But if you're fishing lures, you're going to want to slow down your presentation. Swim jigs have been working well. And chatterbaits, even though that's not really a very slow presentation, have been working well for the folks I'm talking to. Smallmouth are being found on rocky shoreline breaks in 10 to 15 feet of water, but also much shallower rocky areas. If you can find weeds in those rocks, perfect. Large minnow like a shiner, chub, or a small sucker has been working well on the live bait side of things. Otherwise, paddle tail swim baits are hard to beat, or crankbaits, jerk baits, and you'll likely find walleye mixed in with those fish. Speaking of, I guess in addition to the walleye being in shallow, rocky, weedy areas, they are still being found on rocky breaks near shallow flats, and those fish will get more aggressive and moving shallower as we get closer to ice. Here again, large walleye, fatheads, blacktail chubs, small suckers are all solid choices. Otherwise, paddle tails, crankbaits, and jerkbaits have been working well, especially when those fish move up shallow at night to feed. If you're fishing from shore at night, you might as well just throw out a lighted bobber with a larger minnow on and kind of cover all your bases there. The musky bite's been good and will only get better as we get closer to ice. Pike are bulking up for the winter around the chain, so they got their feed bag on. The action on Mendota has been exceptionally good. Area rivers and streams are all pretty much running at their seasonal levels for this time of year. Up here on the north side, Cherokee surface weeds. Oh, I zoomed in the wrong spot. Cherokee surface weeds are pretty much gone. There are still a bunch of weeds up there, which will be good for the ice season, but they're getting some bass and some pike up there. Folks casting from shore that I talked to down to 113 Bridge. Haven't heard about a catfish in a really long time, but they are getting some walleyes down there, and a nice mixed bag of fish. You might find a pike or a bass or some random panfish. The catfish have moved out into Lake Mendota. Well, back in June, they're still out there, I guess we'll say, and folks are still getting them. So cut bait's kind of the bait of choice for those fish. Warner Park Breakwall has been a good spot. Tenney Park Breakwall down here, University Shoreline have all been good spots for cats, but you can really just literally catch them just about anywhere. And like I said, cut bait's good. Otherwise, on the panfish side of things, you got bluegills up shallow. If you can find weeds, you're going to find fish, and if you're shallow, you'll definitely probably find some bluegills, I should say. Might find some crappies mixed in with those fish. Like I said, redworm, spikes, waxworms on a small jig work well. And also on mid-lake humps, they're finding some dandy bluegills, and a little bit deeper than you might think, 10 plus feet sometimes. So Dunn's Bar, Brearley Bar, Second Point, places like that have all been effective. I mentioned crappie. Haven't heard much about perch. Like I said, some fish cruising around big schools down here, but they've been pretty tight-lipped, it sounds like. As far as bass go, largemouth bites getting tough. Live bait seems to be working well for them yet. But, slow down your presentation if you're using artificials. Otherwise, smallmouth are still very active. A lot of them up shallow. If you can find weeds in rocks, you're going to be good to go. You find walleyes mixed in there. A lot of walleye action has been great around the chain. If you can find a steep break near a shallow flat, that's going to be a great place to start. Maple Bluff, Governor's Island, Picnic Point, Second Point. All these places I talk about all the time are great walleye spots this time of year. Tenney Park Breakwall has been producing a nice mixed bag of fish during the day, and obviously that's a great walleye spot. At night, there's lights there that bring the fish in, and I've been hearing about some good action down there. Been hard to find keepers from what I hear, but still some great action. Action below the line. Oh, and pike, I forgot to mention out here in Mendota, are pretty much everywhere. Tons and tons of 20 to 30 inchers. Those fish are hungry. They'll chase down a lure. They'll happily gobble up all your live bait, but they're out there and they are active. The Har River below the locks has been slow, but I have been hearing about fish, walleyes being caught up and down the river, even in the middle of the day. Otherwise, where the river dumps out here on Lake Monona, also a very good spot. Lots of fish from what I hear stacked down there right now. Great nighttime spot, and even during the day you can catch fish. Otherwise, kind of the same deal on Monona as Mendota. Bluegills up shallow, definitely less than 10 feet, much less than 10 feet in many cases. In the weeds, you find weeds, you're going to find fish. The bluegill bite over at the Monona Terrace wall has kind of slowed down / disappeared, but that's because a lot of those fish like a lot of the other fish in the whole lake move into Monona Bay here. So Monona Bay's got good gills in it right now. Fishing along Brittingham Park and in the triangles has been good. They've also been getting some crappies. Haven't heard much. I have heard about a evening crappie bite, kind of the last hour light, and then the last hour after dark. You can get some decent crappie action at the Monona Terrace Wall. Otherwise, walleye action's been picking up in this same area, kind of this whole, I don't know what you call it, northwest shoreline, all the way down to John Nolan down here. Casting at night's been had some good action for walleyes over there. What else? Muskies on Monona have been chewing, eating, have been selling a lot of muskie suckers here at the shop. That's a really effective way to get those fish. And also over to Lake Wingra, I've been hearing about some good action over there. The fish in Wingra do tend to run a little bit on the smaller side, in that 30 to 40 inch range, whereas the Monona ones, of course, you get some giants over there up to 50 plus inches. Turville Bay, Weechawak Bay, good panfish producers, and muskies hang out in there too. Upper Mud, you got the dredge hole over here. Great spot for some panfish. They might be suspended. They might be on the weed edge. They might be on the bottom, but always holds fish over there. The weeds are definitely dying back out here in the flats around Upper Mud, but that concentrates bass. So if you can still find weeds up there, you're likely going to find some bass. Same thing on the north and south ends of Lake Wapisa. Good bass territory down there. Otherwise, been hearing about some good bluegill action and walleye action kind of in the same areas down here along the southeast shoreline down here. Haven't heard much in the way of muskie reports personally off Wabisa, but I know they're catching fish down there. Otherwise, yeah, down to Lake Higanza. The bluegill bite down there that I've been hearing about is still going pretty strong. So north end of the lake here up by Fish Camp, County Park, if you can find green weeds, anywhere you can find green weeds on the lake, you're probably going to find gills. Otherwise, this south kind of east section of the lake, find weeds down there has been good. Also been hearing about a few walleyes being picked up out here off Williams Point, sort of off the state park area there. So yeah, good to hear about some fish being caught down on Keeganza. Down on the Rock River, I've been hearing about some good action at the Indian Ford Dam and up at the Jefferson Dams. Otherwise, down on Lake Koshkonong, they are getting some nicer walleyes. I think mostly up here, kind of in the Black Hawk Island end of things. All right, and we're back. So yeah, Rock River's been fishing good. Haven't heard much out of Beaver Dam. I have heard about some walleyes in the river below where the dam lets out over here, and some crappies too. It seems kind of random, but yeah, some action over there. Devil's Lake, the trout are going to be cruising the shorelines here as the water starts to cool. It's November, it's their spawning time, and that's a lot of fun and a nice change of pace if that's what you're into. Otherwise, the river is running at about seasonal levels right now, maybe just a touch high, but it's going to keep coming down. As always on the river, look for deeper holes, backsides of sandbars, deeper corners, where there's steep drop-offs along shore, and cover is also always great. Otherwise, the dams up and down the river always producing a nice mixed bag of fish. The walleye bite up here on Lake Wisconsin continues to be great from what I hear. It's a bit of a numbers game, and you got to sort through them to get some size. But yeah, good action over there, and some good panfish action in some of the shallow bays. Otherwise, up and down the river, good fishing to be had out here. The Dells Dam, Petenwell Dam, Castle Rock Dam, all great spots for a nice mixed bag of fish. And those same forages, kind of the same deal there. Good walleye bite. Look for transitions, drop-offs, and stuff like that, and you'll find fish. Over to the Mississippi River, Wing Dams, great place to look for fish, walleyes, smallies. Been hearing about some good panfish and rocky shorelines, and weeds. If you can find weeds, definitely check those out. Otherwise, over here on the East Coast, the king salmon run pretty much over now. The cohos have moved into the rivers. I do have the Root River report up here, so the DNR says here that they did their last sampling of fish or harvesting of eggs on the 11th. The water temperature was 51 degrees. They've harvested 3,000, almost 4,000 coho salmon up through there, and got the eggs. They're going to fertilize those and keep this awesome fishery going. But yeah, get over to Milwaukee. I know I'll be doing some fishing over there with Harley. It's kind of a tradition. We go over this area and chase cohos. It's a lot of fun. They chase down flies, sometimes in very shallow water, and it's great. Otherwise, browns and steelhead are being caught out in the harbors, but they're also moving into the rivers. And the steelhead, a lot of those fish, they'll live in the rivers all winter and then spawn in the spring. The browns tend to do their thing here at the end of November and then move on. But yeah, it's a really fun time to be out and enjoying fall and getting to do some fishing. So I know I'm looking forward to getting over there. But no trout fishing to really report since the season's closed. So I don't really have a happy fly day feature. I do just want to remind everybody that we are going to be closed, and I hope you have fun on the break. Wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. And yeah, I would tell you to call the shop, but we're not going to be open. So we will talk to you when we get back on November 30th. And yeah, pray for ice. And thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you later. Thanks so much.